Good afternoon, everyone. 3:30 Eastern Time, and we are live inside the friendly confines of the Tri-X 57 studios. This is Middays with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. We've got about 60 minutes to play with on this 22nd of May, 2025. You can get in on the conversation. We are also live on my YouTube channel, and it has turned out to be a nasty, dreary, ugly day up and down the East Coast. And just not weather-wise. It's just not weather-wise that has me absolutely in, I guess you can say, in the foulest of moods, because that's exactly what I feel today. It's a foul mood that I'm only in a foul mood because last night, as a Knicks fan, I endured one of the all-time worst friggin' collapses in NBA history. And it's funny today because, you will hear or you will get the thought of the young Knicks fan, the young Knicks fan who just has no idea that this is the norm. No idea this is the norm. I got news for you. This is who they are. This is who they are. This is what this franchise is. And last night was no different. Last night, in a game in which the New York Knicks it was a done deal. Game 1, Eastern Conference Finals against the dreaded, the hated Indiana Pacers. The game was over. You're up by 17. Then you're up late by 14. Then you're up by 9 when under 2 minutes to go. And what transpired last night, it was not only a choke job of epic proportions. I believe last night the series friggin' ended. I do. I believe last night the series ended for my Knicks. How in the world do you explain a 138 to 135 overtime loss in a game in which you led, in a game in which at times you dominated, in a game at times where your shot was dropping and you were playing defense when you had to, and then you just let guys that you never even heard of, Aaron Naismith, go off. You let Tyrese Halliburton with this jump shot that's going to go down in Pacers lore that bounced around 1,000 times inside the famed electric juiced Madison Square Garden, only to drop through the friggin' netting to force overtime. At first, you thought it was a three-pointer to win the game. I mean, if you're going to cut me, cut my heart out right there and then. Instead, they cut me. I bled a little bit. I bled out in overtime, 138, 135. I mean, there were so many plays in this game. There were so many moments in this game that I said to myself, this is not happening. This is not happening. And you guys know how I am. I mean, I got to mute the phone. I don't want to accept any type of text messages from anyone because I believe that there's this hidden mush in the world of sports. So I was putting my phone on mute. I was trying to look in the other direction. I was trying to just pretend like, okay, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. Leave me alone. And that wasn't the case. It wasn't the case last night. There's no way on God's green earth that the New York Knicks should have lost that game last night. None. None. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. Epic choke job that only the Knicks can do. Because this is who they are as a franchise. You can't trust them. And they do it again against the Indiana Pacers in a game that, for all intents and purposes, might have sealed their fate the rest of the series. The numbers are, it's statistically almost impossible for the Knicks to have lost that game last night. You led by 14 when under 3 minutes to go in regulation. And then all of a sudden, Aaron Naismith looks like Dr. James Naismith, who created the game of basketball. Go figure. And he's hitting threes all over the place. 1 in a row, 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, 5 in a row, 6 in a row. I mean, a flurry of three-pointers. It was raining threes in MSG. And then late, you've got opportunities to still win the game, seal the game. Defensively, they had so many lapses. And then Halliburton breaking free, bringing the ball up, and then it's bouncing around. The basketball god smile among the Indiana Pacers, and boom, we go into overtime. And in overtime, you have a lapse late. You don't foul. Obi Toppin, he goes right to the rim after a missed free throw. I mean, you cannot make it up. The lapses, the back and forth, the mental lapses. And if you're a Knicks fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is who this franchise is. They don't have the best basketball acumen or the best basketball IQ. That is an epic choke job last night. It's an epic choke job. And it's going to cost them the series. It's absolutely going to cost them the series. I don't want to hear people telling me today that it's a long series. It's only game one. You're overreacting. And the head coach, Tom Thibodeau, sits there and he wants to keep throwing these starters out there. He wants to just live and die by his starters. He wants to live and die by the starters. And yet, late in the game, there's no Mitchell Robinson. It's unbelievable. There's no Mitchell Robinson late for defensive purposes. You just cannot lose a game like that. And then you get Halliburton with the choke sign. Get a freaking clown. I'm glad it was a 2-pointer. Going to overtime, and he's still lighting it up. I can't stand Indiana. I got to listen to Reggie Miller chuckle on the air. You know Reggie Miller was loving it. You know Reggie Miller was absolutely in his glory last night, sticking it to the Knicks again. He's not even suiting up. Guy's been retired. He's in the booth and just get that horrible, like the mush in a Bronx Tale. Anything Reggie Miller touches just turns to mush for my Knicks. Unbelievable. That's as bad as a playoff loss that I can recall. And I'm going back. Years. I'm talking about games where Reggie Miller had the 25 in the fourth quarter. I'm going to games where Reggie Miller scored 8 points in 8 minutes. Or 8 seconds, pardon me. I'm going to the games where, Scottie Pippen refused to come off the bench, right? Remember that? He refused to come off the bench for a play that he wasn't drawn up. Phil Jackson, 1994, Knicks and the Bulls. He refuses to enter the game with 1.8 seconds to go. Why was that game so dramatic? Because the Knicks were down by 21, fought, scratched, and clawed their way back. And then what do? They let Tony Kukoc get free for a game-winning 3-point buzzer at the beater at the buzzer. See that? I got my words all discombobulated right now. It was a buzzer beater, but you know exactly what I'm saying. It was horrible. Eastern Conference semifinals, 1.8. I've seen the Charles Smith game. The Charles Smith game to this day haunts me in my sleep. 1993, Game 5, Eastern Conference Finals. Charles Smith denied not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times. 4 times he's denied around the rim against the Bulls. And oh, by the way, a series that the Bulls would go on to win. Why? Because once again, the Knicks choked. Because this is who they are. This is exactly who they are. And then, should I remind everyone? The greatest of all choke jobs, the greatest of all failures and disappointments, the bunny missed by my guy, Patrick Ewing. I mean, do I even need to bring that up? It's just over and over and over and over again with this franchise. Absolutely, it never ends. I'm telling you right now, if they go on and lose this series, you might say I'm being very irrational right now, and I'm okay with that because I might be irrational right now at this moment. But if the Knicks go on and they lose a series, it's a fireball offense for Tom Thibodeau. It is a fireball offense for the lapses, for the lack of adjustments, for not having Mitchell Robinson in the game late for defensive purposes. You can ill afford to give a team like that any type of life, and they just kept coming at you. They just kept coming at you, and I can't have it. I can't have it. You cannot allow I don't care what who the team is. You cannot be up at home in a playoff game, in an Eastern Conference Finals. That's the equivalent of turning around in game one in the NHL, in the Stanley Cup Finals, or the Eastern or Western Conference Finals. And we know the 3-goal lead is so precious. You can't protect a 3-goal lead in the NHL, but you're up 4-1 in an NHL game. You got no business losing that game. That's the equivalent of being up 25 points in the NFL, 28 points in the NFL. What the Knicks were up late in that game. Do you know what the statistics, the stats? Do you know what this is? Do you know the stats? If you were to get a scientist, now I'm not talking about the scientists that sit there and split the atom. That's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going. I'm not talking about that. But if you were to look at the stats, if you were to just pinpoint and say to yourself, hey, what are the odds? What are the odds of that happening? Well, here you go. Teams that trailed by 9+ points in the final minute of the fourth quarter or overtime of a playoff game. Are you ready? We're 0 for 1,414 since 1998 entering Wednesday. Let me just walk that back to you. Just one more time. Take a walk with me for a moment. They were 0 for 1,414 friggin' games. And now they're 1 and 1,414 friggin' games. Yeah, it's not even explainable. It's utterly ridiculous to lose a basketball game like that. The players, you have to be ashamed of yourself. And I get it. It's the NBA. Teams go on runs. Teams go on runs, but there's a way that you have to combat that. You got to stop the bleeding, stop the run. And hey, you know what? These are the Knicks. This is what they do. It's such a horrible. And I know I'm seeing it right now. You guys are commenting, and I'm going to get to all your comments. I thought I was going to come on the air today, and I thought I was going to try to do a solid. I thought I was going to try to do a solid and turn around and walk the Knicks fan off the ledge. That's what I thought. I said to myself, this is what I'm going to do. They need therapy. They need therapy, and I'm going to give them some therapy. That I figured I'm going to give them therapy. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to walk them back. I'm going to sit there and say, everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. Don't worry. You're still going to win the series. It was a fluke. It was an aberration. No, this friggin' series right now is done. It's over. And if the Knicks go out tomorrow night and they lose and they're down 0-2, they're going to get swept. And you had such a window of opportunity. And I get it. 93, you took the Rockets to 7. 94, we talked about 94. We talked about 94 and the missed finger roll by the great Patrick Ewing. And, of course, Indiana goes on and they play the Orlando Magic. And the Magic got swept. The Magic, by the way, got swept, that team, against the Rockets. They got swept. The Knicks would have pounded the Orlando Magic. That was a young team that was starting to come up. They couldn't match the Knicks' physicality. They had Penny and they had Shaq, and I think they had Scott. I think they had Ho Grant. They couldn't match that intensity. They couldn't. And you got an opportunity now. You dethrone the Boston Celtics. The Indiana Pacers basically did what the Knicks did to the Boston Celtics. It's exactly what they did. You're left for dead. You're left for dead. They were left for dead last night. And what do? You let them off the mat. They beat the 10 count. They live to fight another day. They get to the round. They get to their corner. And they get a breather. There were so many things that went wrong in this basketball game. It's, when you watch sports, as long as we've watched sports, or you follow sports, or you're a fan for as long as we've been fans, or you do what I do. for as long as I've done it. You see everything. You see everything. You watch an NFL game on a Sunday, and it could be a playoff game. Hell, it could be the Super Bowl. It could be a regular season game. And maybe, there's a long, there's a lull in the action. And then all of a sudden, one team's starting to pull away. And then what do you sit there? We sit there as, fans, and even to some extent, the media will sit there and say, okay, here we go. They're letting this team hang around. They're letting this team hang around. And what did we see last night? They let the Pacers hang around, and they never, ever defensively bodied them up. They had absolutely no business allowing that kid every single time he came down the floor to light the world on fire. That kid was raining threes like I've never seen. Reggie Miller ever did that. I've never seen a kid like Naismith or what you want to call him, Curry Smith, whatever, Miller Smith. This kid was locked in. 8 of 9 from beyond the arc. He was locked in last night. You think get a body on him, Tibbs? You think maybe rotate over instead of the soft zone, the soft coverage, soft perimeter defense? Or wait, in a game 2, how about this? In a game where Brunson is in foul trouble and you're still playing very good basketball. And Brunson's in foul trouble. And that's a game that you have to win. Because you cannot have Brunson get in foul trouble and expect to get bailed out like they got bailed out last night until they had, obviously, the epic collapse. And that's what it was. It was epic. And I don't want to hear, listen, don't give me the woosah. Don't give me the breathe a little bit. No, I'm unhinged. Man chimes in early on a Thursday. Corporation apologizes for any comments that led to any added mush outcomes. Listen, when I'm watching this game and I'm watching these games, it's the rule of thumb. You don't bother somebody. My producer Kyle, you know what this young kid, see, he's going to learn a very rough lesson in life. I'm going to tell you the text that I got. This was at 9:51 last night, right? Because the young guys, they have to learn the hard way. This was at 9:51 last night. Halliburton 3 airball threes has to be a topic tomorrow. Laugh out loud. Really? I'm going to come on the air today and talk about his 3 air balls while the game's going on. Are you kidding me with this nonsense? Joey B triggered. Q just talked for 30 seconds without taking a breath. Amazing. Halliburton's a clown. Flustered Q, the madman. Pacers in 5. New York City going to riot. Even if the Knicks win, New York going to riot. Laugh out loud. This is epic Q rant right now. Wow. Great rant, great show, great content. I appreciate you. I don't even know what else to say. It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, some of you guys on Facebook, yeah, I gave the analogy of, what was it? Splitting the atom. I gave you the numbers. The stats are just unheard of. They're unheard of. They are unheard of. Trevor chimes in, which hurts more, Q? That epic choke job or the fact that the NFL keeping the tush push? I told you about the tushy pusher yesterday. I don't have a problem with it. Stop the teams. By the way, we're going to get into some NFL in about 20. Jovan chimes in, said this to a friend last night. Knicks will not win this series if they try to compete with the Pacers and a track meet. Well, 2 things, Jovan. They were going back and forth. And the problem was if you, and I know you watched the game. I think they mentioned it during the broadcast. Van Gundy did. The Knicks did not want to. The Knicks could live with exchanging of the buckets late, right? They could exchange the buckets late. And no, man, this is not airing dirty laundry. This is how you got to get it out there. You have to. I can't have young guys that are trying to break in this profession texting me and mushing me. I can't. They know it. They know it. They know you can't do that. You got to have some sense, some common sense. You guys know exactly how I am. The phone needs to be shut off. I've got a group of friends that are just relentless when games are over. It's just bloop, 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 bloop. I can't have it. What did Singletary say years ago? I don't want it. I don't need it. I can't have it. Don't need it. Don't want it. But John, your point is accurate. I thought ultimately, again, they were able to match the Knicks' intensity. That's the problem. And when Halliburton's shot goes in, that sucked the life. Listen, this is an epic collapse, man. It's epic. I mean, you can equate it to whatever you want. A 21, 24-point lead blown in the NFL, a 4-goal lead blown in NHL, 7-8 runs after the 6 blown in baseball. It doesn't. Point is, this is the Knicks. These are New York teams. This is what they do best. This is what they do best. I'm watching that game. I am watching that game. And my buddy, who is also a diehard Knicks fan, texted me, game over. And I wrote, are you effing kidding me? This game is far from over because it's the NBA. It's the NBA. You can shoot your way back into these games. The Halliburton shot, I've seen it from 1,000 different angles. Part of me is like, I wish it was a 3 because, like I said, I bled out. If it's a 3 and the artery sliced, I'm done. I'm going night-night. I'm going to sleep in 10 to 15 seconds. You all saw the equalizer. Once you start checking the watch, that's a done deal. But instead, it's like a bullet to the midsection, a bullet to the belly, and now it's just a slow. I knew they were losing that game in overtime. It's like I'm just bleeding out on the street by myself. That's it. That is an epic. If I were to look at all time, like I said, the 8 points in 8 seconds, the 25 points, the Patrick Miss finger roll, the Tony Kukoc 3-pointer, Charles Smith to this day, and then last night. The only way this is salvageable is if they win the series. That's it. Because if they lose this series, I can tell you right now, they're going to call for Thibodeau's head. Man, there are some bad losses in sports, and this one absolutely, it's just unbelievable. Bob in North Jersey chiming in. Q, excellent show, man. Love your intensity and your passion talking about your Knicks. And you're right, as a Knicks fan, just like you, it was without a doubt one of the most epic collapses I've ever seen and witnessed in my life. That's how bad it was. It just, I can't put in the words how painful last night was. And I've been on the side of some really bad losses. As a fan, I mean, listen, I can give you giant games among giant games. I can give you the Deshaun Jackson punt return, the Brian Westbrook punt return. I've been there, man. Last night was just, it's as brutal as I can recall as a fan of the Knicks because, again, you're talking about the Eastern Conference Finals. You've got a window, an opportunity to win a championship. And last night, the Pacers came on the road. They were punching a little bit above their weight class, and the Knicks were just delivering blow after blow, and the Pacers kept coming forward. Jovan says, that shot from Halliburton reminded me of the Kawhi shot against the Sixers. Also thought of Tyrese Maxey's 3 against the Knicks last year. Yeah, I mean, it was that shot went up there, and it went badoink, and you're like, game over. And then, like, I text my buddies. I was like, did that really go in? It's an epic choke job. And again, we see this in sports from time to time. The NBA, this is funny too now. For everyone that sits there and says the NBA is a bad product, the playoffs are the best. I mean, not for me last night. Not for me last night, but point being, there's such an intensity when it comes to the NBA playoffs. It's ratcheted up to a certain level. And you've got young players, you've got players that are trying to make a name for themselves. I mean, I'm watching last night. TJ McConnell is like a barbecue gnat. He's so annoying. But yet when he's on the floor, he's just making plays. Now, Brunson was able to take him a couple times. And like I said, you knew they were trying to switch a lot on Brunson. But Indiana's got veterans. Look, Siakam's won before. Turner is a vet. Halliburton, he's not a young kid. I mean, he's young in his career, but he's been around the block. He's only 25, but this kid's been around the block. This kid's been in the league now for what, 5-6 years? That's a well-coached team. That is a well-coached team. And winning a game one in a series, and you can look at the stats all you want. It's set a tone. You win a game one, you set the tone for the series. You set the tone. If the Knicks go on and lose tomorrow night, if they would have won last night, 1-1, you're like, okay, you can live with it. If you just get beat up and banged up and it's a hard-fought, scrappy game, you live with it. You live with it. But now, all of a sudden, you're in danger of falling behind 0-2. They're not coming back. They're not. They're not coming back. Man, it's been better this year, but the intensity is lost. Not the same as 20 years ago, 25 years ago. The NBA, the playoff, that was an intense game last night. Come on, it was back and forth. That was, again, teams trading blows and shots. But it shows you that in the NBA, you're never out. You're never out. You can shoot your way back in the game. It's a make or miss league, the NBA, especially in the fourth quarter. But the fact that they didn't have Robinson on the floor, again, the fact that they couldn't D up late, and I'll give the Pacers credit, man. I'll give the Pacers credit. They are scrappy. They're a good team. I don't think they're better than the Knicks. I don't. But after watching last night, all bets are off because the Knicks played a great game for what? 47 minutes? Plus something seconds? And they couldn't close. Towns had 35 and 12. And every time I'm like, stop shooting it from three, he starts making. I text my buddy last night, if Towns takes a three late, I'm going to lose it. And of course, he takes that horrible three. Well, I get it. It was desperation. But Brunson had 43, and you couldn't protect a big lead. You couldn't protect the lead at home. It's so frustrating. I mean, sports will rip your heart out. That's what they do. They rip your heart out as a fan. As a fan, you sit there for 4 quarters. You're in it. You're doing anything you need to do. You're sitting in the same spot. You're not moving the remote. You got the juju. You got the Milwaukee bag. You got the jersey. You got the hat. You got the beverage of choice, whatever. You don't want to move and sit there. I mean, I'm sitting there. They're up by 14. I'm afraid to move my leg because I got the dog next to me. I don't want to jinx it. I wake her. That's all she wrote. And what happens? I tweak a little bit. The hip goes this way. The dog wakes up and a 14-point lead is blown. And it's ball game. That's how bad it was last night. That's how bad it was. It's not funny. I'm telling you. It's not funny. My leg went the other way, and there we go. I'm not blaming Kiki. I am not blaming Kiki for the Knicks' failures. What I am saying is, this is a fan. When we get in position, right, when we're locked in as a fan and we're watching these games, we're superstitious. All right, 4 o'clock straight up. We'll get to some more of your comments halfway through a Thursday edition of Middays with Q, live inside the front of the confines of the Tri-X 57 studios. We can get more to your Knicks comments and your thoughts as well. Epic collapse. This is Kevin in Summers Point. Q, I don't know how you're holding your own today. It would have been a sleepless night for me. I've been on the other side as well with some bad Sixers losses, but you being a Knicks fan, I know this one stings more. Enjoy the show. Great mono. Thank you, Kevin. It's a bad loss. Let me ask you guys a question. As a fan, would you want a loss like that early on in a series? or, well, I guess it's a loaded question. I guess that's a loaded question because that's a game one loss. But do you want to take that loss early or do you want to take it, say, 2-2 and then game five, it ends like that? Or you just want to get it at Kyle shaking his head. You want to get it out of the way, get it out of the way. Early is better and regroup and live to fight another day. Oh, Vince chimes in. I'm sure he just wants to needle me a little bit on this Thursday. You had to see an epic fail in your future when they lost to Boston the game after Tatum got hurt. What are you saying? The basketball gods now? That's what you're throwing at me, Vince? That's what you're throwing? You're throwing the basketball gods to karma. The basketball gods decided to pull a switcheroo on the Knicks. Early is better. You never want to lose a game. No, you don't. You don't. I mean, that game is the equivalent of blowing like a 24-point lead in an NFL game. That's exactly what. And by the way, I've seen my Giants do it. I saw my Giants lose late in a wild card game in the rain at the old Giants Stadium against Minnesota. To this day, Jake Reed wasn't in bounds when he caught it. I've seen that. Then you can't get the onside kick. It slips through Chris Callaway's hands. I've seen the Giants go in candlestick and go up 38-14 or 35-14, and Shockey can't catch a little teardrop from Kerry Collins, and Tiki does the kiss goodbye, and they lost that game. To this day, the NFL knows they got screwed on that field goal attempt late, by the way, with Matt Bryant. You know, I've seen the Christmas Day game, Deshaun Jackson. We've all been there. As fans, we have suffered horrible losses. Horrible losses. But last night, I don't think they're going to recover. I don't think they're going to recover. I don't see it. I don't see them recovering at all. I don't. Yep, Strahan pointed to the scoreboard that game. Speaking of epic collapses, I never saw a football team melt down like that in my life than the Giants did. And remember, too, that kickoff, they got an extra 15 yards. Delvin Joyce, there was unsportsmanlike conduct on the 49ers, and it moved them up. I've never seen a team implode like that. I've seen the Knicks implode. I've seen the Rangers implode. I've seen my Yankees implode. But last night is coup de grace. Get it out of the way early. I saw Sixers Raptors end up on an unreal shot, which ended that series. That stings more. That Kawhi Leonard shot was, you know what? If you're a Sixers fan, the Leonard shot, I'm sitting in a hotel in Miami and I'm watching the game. And that shot looked like it was in the air forever. That was a badoink, badoink, badoink. And then, whoosh, yeah, that you lose like that. I mean, can you imagine? I personally, as twisted as I am and neurotic as I am, and the conspiracy theorist in me, I would have preferred that shot last night by Halliburton to have been a 3, not a 2, because I knew they were going to lose in overtime. And by the way, there's a play in the game that not a lot of people were talking about today, and the Pacers had the right call. If you remember the OG play where the ball was loose and they called on the floor a foul, and then they went back and they changed it. They overruled it. That was the correct call. Pacers, again, did a really good job with their challenges and also their uses of timeouts. But the lack of defense was the worst. The lack of defense was absolutely the worst. All right. So yesterday, if you guys didn't join me, and I'm sure you'll have a little fun with this. So we're talking about, these competitive advantages, right? We were talking about the NFL yesterday, and I'll still get to your NBA and your Knicks thoughts as well with the epic collapse, because it was epic. But so the NFL, the tush push lives on. The tush push lives on in the NFL. You also had the news of the passing of longtime Colts owner and CEO Jim Irsay, 65. 65. Now, I know, he was a guy that had some, he had some health issues, some health problems that have been, well documented. 65 is very, very young. And, think about this. And when a person passes, they pass. You're not worried about the exact time they pass. But here's a franchise that's really in flux and trying to find their identity. I mean, he was their identity. I mean, he was part of this team since what, 1997, 65 years old. I mean, very young. But as I mentioned, the tush push. So the Packers take another L from the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is what I'm going to say about the tush push. It was not going to get banned. It wasn't going to get banned. And the irony is the voting was 22-10, and that's exactly the score that the Eagles beat Green Bay in the playoff game last year. But the NFL was not going to ban this. I don't like the play. I can't stand the play. But I'll say this, in fairness, if the Giants were able to run this play correctly and with success, I'm not going to complain. They just can't do it. There's a handful of teams that run it successfully, and the Philadelphia Eagles do it the best. The 10 teams to vote against the proposal were, according to multiple sources, the Eagles, the Ravens, the Browns, the Lions, Jacksonville, Miami, New England, New Orleans, the Jets, and Tennessee. It's a very hard play to stop. And yesterday on Middays, we were talking about, a lot of guys were chiming in about the injuries, the potential injuries. Show me the stats. Show me the numbers. Show me the stats. Show me the numbers that say that you can be injured from that play. They're just not there. They're not there. So the guys that are, guys yesterday were going off on social with me saying, guys get hurt all the time. No, they don't. They don't. It's a fact. Greg and AC chimed in. Q, as a Dallas Cowboys fan, they need to put an end to this play. Guys are going to get hurt. They're not, though. Like, I pulled this up yesterday. If you look at the injuries, according to the NFL, the quarterback sneak injury rate, the NFL has found zero, stats, data. This is according to Yahoo, that says this play is a dangerous play. So for the guys chiming in, Gregory, Joe, Sal, I think it was Sarge yesterday, Kevin, Matt in Delaware yesterday when I was on the air, no players were injured in tush-push plays in 2024. So the Eagles have figured out a way, again, to just get the competitive advantage. And they know how to run it to perfection. Injury excuse is nonsense. They don't get hurt on that play. Correct. 92 success rate on one down and distance. The next most successful play is 79%. It's a great play for third, fourth, second, and short. And you can be so creative, period. And right now, the way the Eagles are going to position and run the football, this is their play. This is their bread and butter. It's always going to be that short, and half an inch. Here we go. Rugby scrum, boom, and away we go. Jason Kelce said on his pod he would run the tush push 90 times if he had to come out of retirement. That's pretty interesting. I mean, think about it. It's an unstoppable play. It really is. Anytime you get in third and short, fourth and short, hell, second and short, and you're pressed to pick up that first down quickly, they're going to run the tush push, or whatever you guys want to call it. Teams can't stop it. They can't stop it, and you're going to start to see guys want to try to fly over the top. Again, what's going to happen? You're going to have penalties. You're going to have flags. Ultimately, it's just a play that. And to Jovan's point, and I heard what Kelce was saying, you get 80 tush pushes to play in the NFL. I mean, think about it. It's the easiest job in the world, he was saying. They were not going to overturn this. I would rather see the NFL focus on other things. Like, when I say other things or more pressing needs, we still don't know what a catch is in the NFL. We don't. And how many times, like, if the NFL really wants to clean up a lot of stuff and they want to, The refereeing, the officiating in the league stinks. It stinks. Let me get to a couple comments real quick. Nikki in Newark chiming in. Q, it's real simple. No one can stop the play. That's why the teams that wanted it banned are bitching, whining, and complaining because they can't stop it and they can't run it. Great show as always. Appreciate that. Correct. Correct. I mean, you still got to play the game. You still got to play the game. How many times is that play? I think Trevor brought up. How many times is that play being run in a game? In a game. How many times do we sit there and say, are the Eagles running this play 35 times? No, you would say what, 3, maybe 4 times in a game? And how many series, how many times do you think offensively they're going to touch the football in an NFL game? And I'm trying to think the last time they actually used it during a game, because the Super Bowl was a blowout. The NFC Championship game was a blowout. Did they run it against the Rams? Did they run it against the Packers? Point being is this. If any NFL, any Sunday, let me pull up I'll pull up the Rams for a second. That was a 28-22 game. So let me see. I'm going right now. Remember, the Rams scored first. The Eagles punted. Rams punted. Eagles scored. They didn't run anything there. I'm just looking at short. I'm going through the play real quick, so bear with me. End of half, 10-10. Punt coming out of the third, field goal. 3rd and 1. Nope, it was a throw. 4th and 14. Field goal good. Here we go. They get the safety. Rams fumble. Eagles kick the field goal. I'm trying to see the last time they ran it. They get the penalty late. Remember that 4th and goal on the 1? Got the field goal as well. Rams fumbled again. My God, the Rams shot themselves in the foot that game, did they not, in the snow? So I'm looking at these possessions. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're talking 8, 9 possessions in an NFL game. How many times is that play really being run? They used it against the Chiefs. I think it was the first TD scored. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And you know, Jovan, I'll take your word for it. So in a rout, in a Super Bowl, in a game that was not competitive at all, they ran that play. Point being is the people that want it banned think the play is ran 1,000 times during a football game. It's not. It just so happens when they run it, more times than not, it's a crucial part of that drive and that series. That's all. That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah, 1st and goal, right? Because all the times that, Saquon wasn't getting the ball touched at the goal line, 1st and goal, 7-0, there we go. 1st and goal against Kansas City. I would rather see they run it. You can run it as many times as you want, but my point is stop it. They can't stop. Teams can't stop it. So if you can't stop it, then try to perfect it. Try to run it successfully. If you're Pittsburgh, if you're Buffalo, if you're Miami, if you're Dallas, you're the Giants, you're San Fran, try to run it like the Philadelphia Eagles run it. More times than not, they can't do because they don't have the type of offensive line that the Philadelphia Eagles do. That's another thing. It's all about the center exchange. It's all about getting that push, that movement. And that's exactly what they do. It won't get banned until everyone does it. You mean what? Everyone does it successfully or everyone wants it banned? No, it's not going to get banned. It's not going to get banned. It's not. The NFL is waiting for someone to stop it. They're waiting, and it's a rarity. Back in the day, 4th and 1, if you can't pick up a yard, you shouldn't be out there. You shouldn't be out there. I believe, too, the other reason is you look at the way the game is right now. Okay? Think about this. Back in the day, when you would see a 4th and 1, you see a quarterback under the huddle. And all of a sudden, you're watching the game with your buddies. You're like, why is the running back 3 or 4 yards off the line of scrimmage? Well, he's trying to get that running start to get downhill, and then boom, you get tackled for that 1-yard loss on 4th and 1. It's one of the reasons the Eagles perfected this because they realized a lot of times, too, defenses were going to cheat. You ever notice when you're watching these games, a 3rd and 4, the team runs it and they pick up 3 yards, and you see the defense go like this, right? 4th down, right away. They make the stop like it's 4th down. They're going to get off the field. They're not going to get off the field. They're not. The team that ran it on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, and picked up a yard or 2, they're running again on 4th. It's set up. And that's what the Eagles do perfectly. When it's a short yardage situation for the Eagles and it's 3rd down and Saquon picks up 4 and you need 5 on 4th down, they're going for it every single time. And the other thing that Tush Push has made very interesting is the fact now you throw analytics out the door. Because, again, the argument was, well, if you're on my side of the 50, you're going to go for it. If you're on your side of the 50 or the 45 or the 40, you're not going to go for it. You throw that argument out the window. NFL is trying to look ahead at the outcome of all teams doing it. Create a boring outcome is usually a stressful situation. I'm not sure where to go with that one. I need a little more context, man, because your comments are always Johnny on the spot. You're always adding something to the show. Bunker Boys, they kind of crushed the flow of the show the other day, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. Let me Matt and AC finding me on YouTube. Q, good to hear you back on the air. And I heard you going off on the Knicks. I'm a Knicks fan. That's as painful as a loss as Patrick missing the bunny back in the 90s to Charles Smith game. Q, did you bring that one up? What about Jordan dropping the 55 at the Garden in his return? Yeah, I'm talking about epic collapses, right? And by the way, what made that great by Jordan, that 55 in his return, the last possession, he didn't shoot it. He found Bill Wellington right under the basket. That was a game-winning bucket. Go figure, right? Eastern Conference Finals, I think it's done. I think the Pacers are going to the finals. I don't think you recover from that. I'm sorry. Greg, diehard Knicks fan. Q, you're absolutely killing me here with your negative Nelly attitude. It's one freaking game. You need to relax. You need to calm down. You came on the air saying you were going to walk people off the ledge, and instead it's like you who's looking down at the abyss. You guys are so dramatic. Reason NFL is looking into it for the sanctity of competition to play is unstoppable when needed. Takes away from a 4th and 1 in the playoffs when a team desperately needs on 1st down. Now it's a gimme. It's the same reason the NFL pushed back the EP attempt. EP? Extra point attempt, yeah. That's not a bad point. It is a gimme, but I think we can all agree if your team's running it successfully, you're going to take that pretty much every day of the week, are you not? I mean, it's a tough play to ban because if the NFL had proof that play was causing injuries and guys were getting their knees taken out and more concussions, there was an occurrence of more concussions, then I can see them banning it. But the NFL wants to keep safety first and foremost. Why? Because eventually the NFL is going to go to an 18-game season. It's already in the works. Now, let me throw this out. I believe if they're considering adding an 18-game to the regular season, now you keep the total number of games, the regular season and the preseason, at 20. That basically means right now you got to reduce the preseason from 3 games to 2. So the NFL has 17 regular season games and 3 preseason games. Some of you guys that listen or have listened in over the years and are older know exactly where I'm going with this. There used to be 5 preseason games. Now, the way it is at the moment, 2, and you get a series or 2, defenses typically are always ahead of the offenses when a season starts. It's just kind of the nature of the sport. But with all that being said, I believe the NFL eventually will go to a 20-game season because they want more games overseas. They want games in London. They want games in Brazil. They want games in Mexico. They want games in Spain. They are going to stretch this out. You had 12 games. You had 14 games to 16 back in 78 and then 17 games in 2021. Now, it does add a little more juice. You're fighting for an extra playoff spot. But they also know if I'm going to set it up for 18 games or maybe 5 years from now, 20 games, I need players healthy. I cannot worry about players getting hurt. Show me that this adds injury to the players and we'll take it off the mat. They're not going to do that. They're not. But rest assured, not to get sidetracked too much, the NFL is eventually going to go to 18 games. It is a done deal. They're going to do it. If NFL goes to 18 games, I think all players can only play 16, so you have strategically benched players. No, they're not going to do that. Think about this. When the league decides to go to 18 games, what does that mean? It means more what? It means more eyeballs, more advertising revenue, opportunity to stream games more, hit a different audience. Throw out whatever you want, concessions, food, drink, beverage, merchandise, gambling, betting, but more of this money. And if I'm a player, if you want me to go from 16 to 17, and now you want me to go to 17 to 18, I want another $3 million on my contract. You want me to go to 20? You got me locked in for 4 years at $15 million a year. I got news for you. We're going to renegotiate that. The CBA, collective bargaining agreement. Guess what? I want to revisit my contract after 2 years. I want that in writing. Now, it's crazy that I'm saying that because you know how these contracts work in the NFL. You know about the guaranteed money. I could fall down the steps. I got guaranteed $151 million coming to me. That's all she wrote. I tear up my knee. Thanks a lot. But again, think about it. They're not going to do that. It's yes, to Madman's point, an interesting thought and theory, but 18 games, you're not. If I'm sitting, okay, Trevor, you're a player, and you've got incentives and bonuses, and you're making, let's just say for argument's sake, you're making $5 million, and you're a wide receiver, and I'm paying you $5 million for 18 games. But now, Trevor, in your contract, I've got a $500K bonus that kicks in if you get 100 receptions. I got another $750K coming at you if you get 10 touchdowns. So now we're sitting, week 17's done. Now we're going to week 18. You're sitting at 93 receptions and 9 touchdowns. So now you're potentially looking at what? Another 1.25. Are you sitting? Are you going to want them to bench you? Are you going to want them to sit you, to rest you, even if something's locked up? That's another thing. Strategically from that standpoint, it'll be different for some players if the seating's locked up, playoffs locked up. But if I'm a player and I got bonuses riding on that, I want to be out there. I want to be out there. And they're going to, most likely, if they do that, they're going to have to what? Expand the rosters. They're going to have to expand the rosters. Without a doubt. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, chiming in from South Philly Q. You're talking about the possibility of going from 53, 55, even to 60. If they do that, you're going to have more players readily available during the season. And to your point, which is a great one, yes, it's all about the bonuses kicking in. Yeah. So if I'm going to accommodate a potential 18 game, if I'm Roger Goodell, if I'm the commissioner and we're talking about 18 games, then I have to increase the roster size, period. I have to. Now, here's another caveat to that. If the NFL decides, again, if the NFL decides that they're going to turn around, no, you can't base the bonuses on 60. You can't do that. You can't. The NFL Players Association, they are there for what? They protect the player. The NFLPA, they are protecting the player first and foremost. The player is the league is secondary, if that makes sense. Those bonuses have to be contingent upon 18 games. If I'm going out there for 8, if you're asking me to work a 6-day work week, you got to pay me for it. Here's your salary for 5, and I know this is kind of apples and oranges. I need you for 6. You got to pay me for it. I'm sorry. If that's overtime, that's overtime. So if they go to 20 games, the kicker has to be for 20 games, period. Your salary is X, your bonuses, your incentive. Here it is, the incentive clause in your contract. It's got to be it's got to be on 18 because it's already based on 17. Look at Geno Smith. Geno Smith hit all those numbers and all those incentives last season. I think you needed like X amount of yards, X amount per game, making the playoffs, winning 10 games, whatever it is. He's leaving 3, 4, 5 million on the table. So if I'm a player and you're asking me to go to 20 weeks, you better bump up my salary. I want more guaranteed money on the front end, not the back end. You bump me from, that 10 million to make it 12 million, 13, because I got to get a cut to the agent. So make it 14 million guaranteed. Then you want to give me the incentives on the back end and you want to throw in my bonuses, my incentives, my numbers. I'll do all that. But the other point that I wanted to bring up is if the NFL goes to an 18-game season, are you going to add, again, another playoff team, another bye? Many, many, many moons ago, there was a bye. You had that week, that lull, 2 weeks between the Super Bowl. So now you're stretching the season out even more. You start the season in September. Back in the day, it was supposed to end in January. Now it ends in February. Are we going to have the football season creep into late February? March? That's where we're looking. And then you turn around right after March. What do we have? We have the draft, and then we have what? You have mini camps. You have OTAs. You're right back at it. When does the body heal? May, June, and you're right there. The season ends in late February, early March, April, May, June. You got 3 months to heal up. Man, that is absolutely just, I don't know, guys. I don't know. We know the NFL makes the most money. The NFL makes the most money. It's a monster of a sport. By the way, Phil's up 1-0 on the Rockies, middle of the sixth. Yankees blanking Texas. That game is actually final 1-0. 1-0 Yanks. We know how much money the NFL makes. Now, for everyone that complains too about the contracts, now the contracts are going to be through the roof. Make NFL Labor Day to President's Day. Javon, not to mention the NFL would have to figure out free agency, which is the first 2 weeks in March. I mean, logistically, it would be a nightmare. But that's why Roger Goodell makes the type of money that he makes. That's why Roger Goodell will always have a job, because he makes these owners money hand over fist. You don't have to like them. You don't have to trust them, right? That line in The Godfather, right? With Hyman Roth, your father worked with Hyman Roth. He did business with him. He knew him. He never trusted him, right? I mean, Roger Goodell makes owners money. That's why Roger Goodell's salary is, 30, 40, whatever the hell it is. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd. So now you're talking about stretching the season out, right? So you got the pros and you got the cons. You're stretching the season out. And as Jovan mentioned, and Trevor mentioned, Man mentioned, now you're talking about the contracts, you're talking about the kickers, the incentives. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, think how crazy free agency would be, because now you don't have a lot of wiggle room. You can't wait. Like if you're Aaron Rodgers and you wanted to cash in, then it's like, I got to decide now. I got to figure out what I'm going to do. Now, again, I don't see this being something that is going to take place right at this moment. The NFL doesn't have plans to do this at the moment, but it's trending that way. It's trending that way. And here's another, I guess you can say, thought that I have, and I've said this for years. And my friends could attest to this. I've been saying this for the past, I said this 5, 6, 7 years ago. Eventually, these games are all going to be a la carte. You go out to eat with your girl, your wife, whomever, your mistress, whatever, your friends. You go, it's like a buffet style, a la carte. You're picking and choosing. You're paying per game. That's how it's going to be. Forget about these packages. Forget about the dish. Forget about the red zones. Everything's going to be subscription based. Hey, you're living somewhere and you can't get this game and you want it out of market. It's $19.99 a pop. You want to watch them bad enough? Everything is going to be a la carte. It's another way for the league to make money. That's why eventually they will go to 20 games. That's why eventually they will start to dip into the European market. That's why eventually you're going to see more games in London. You might have a team based in London. You might have an NFL team that you call it Jacksonville right now if you wanted to, but you know what I'm saying. You might have teams playing 3-4 times a season in Brazil, in Mexico, in Spain, in Italy. I don't know. I mean, Roger Goodell right now is the most powerful. He is the most powerful man in all of sports. It's not even up for debate. It is not even up for debate. He's got the NFL by the you-know-whats, by the onions. By the onions. Because he makes the league so much money. And he's not going anywhere. He's not. So everyone sits there. A couple of you guys are, oh, well, he just turned around. He's trying to save face after this attempt to ban the. You think he really cares about that? Come on. You realize Roger Goodell is going to get a contract extension. You guys do realize that, right? He's not going anywhere. Jerry Jones loves Roger Goodell. Loves Roger Goodell. I mean, his current deal would take him past 20 years as the commish, which would be the second longest run for an NFL commissioner. He makes the league money hand over fist. He is the most powerful person in all of sports. And it is not even close. Not even close. And again, like him, loathe him, respect him, don't respect him. You appreciate the fact that he's made the NFL what it is. I mean, the NFL is the NFL, don't get me wrong. But it's now to the point where it is just an unstoppable beast. It is an unstoppable beast. So when they do break off and it's 18-game schedule, 19, 20-game schedule, and all of a sudden the playoffs start to widen, you've got another team, you've got maybe X amount of opportunities for teams come out of certain divisions. It's going to be a behemoth. How much would they charge for an NFC East package? I bet you, it's a great question. So this is my thinking. You've got Fox, CBS, Amazon, Netflix, ESPN, ABC, obviously, Disney, ESPN, right? Wild Card Weekend. I think what they would do is, let's go by the premise of it's 18 games, right? So you got 18 games. You got Dallas, Washington, the Giants, the Eagles, 1, 2, 3. So you got 4 teams in there. So now we're looking at what? 72 games. If you're going to factor in the playoffs, and that's just being, a little liberal, I'll give you 80 games, right? Another 8 games for the playoffs. Eagles, 3 games, 4, 5 Super Bowl. There we go, 8. So 80-game package. I'm going to say for 80 games, would you pay $299, $399 for an 80-game package? Right? Which is $4 a game. You would. Well, now you're going to times that, because this is what I think they would do. I think the NFL would offer you the NFC East package where you'll get an opportunity to see every game for under $2,000 a season, which is $19.99, which comes out to $24 a game. That's where I think we're going. My price point is $19 to $25 a game. That's where I think you're going to go a la carte. So Trevor, you can sit there and you can get 18 Eagles games by yourself at $25, right? Which is going to run you almost $500 a season. If you want a package, I don't know. I would denounce the NFL, but I think you're correct. I've been saying, my friends will tell you this. I've been saying this for years. Everything is going to be a la carte. So again, do the math. It depends what market you're in. Like Comcast in my backyard is like $3.30. Some people have cut the cord. Self, wink, wink, that use certain streaming platforms that will get you the games for free. And I'll put them in the comments after the show for you guys out there, because you get everything for free. Once in a while, you throw them a couple shekels, keep them happy, $5 here and there. But other than that, you're not paying for anything. So if I want the NFC East package, whether I live in DC or Philly or New Jersey or Florida, I want the NFC East package. I want to be able to see all these teams. Then what they're going to do is they're going to jack up the price. I'm not going to give you $24 stretched over 18 games for $432. What I'm going to give you is, okay, well, if we give you 70-something games plus the playoffs at 80 games, you are now going to spend $19.99. That's it. Under $2,000. Under $2,000. $19.99. Period. John Skipper, David Sampson have been saying for at least a year that the Super Bowl will eventually be. Yes, it is. Now, here's a question. Would you guys pay? I mean, look, I'm a boxing guy, so we pay $39.99. $49.99, $59. Can you believe this guy asked me last week, the Christian is kid? Yeah, for $7,000, I'll do it. Would you pay if your team's in the Super Bowl? Would you pay? That's a premium event, right? And they're going to sell it to you where you're going to get 10 hours pregame, never seen before footage, blah, 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 peel the curtain. Would you guys spend $299 to watch the Super Bowl, to order the Super Bowl? Would you pay $299? So if you watch the game with your buddies over your house and you bet on the game, you get food, you get beverage, does it come out to $300? I guess depends on who's paying. Whose wallet is open. So $299. I'm telling you, they're going to mark it up, and a package is going to be right around $2,000, which is absolutely absurd. But they don't care. They don't care because they make enough money. If we can't afford it, somebody's going to afford it. All you got to do is break it down. If you're betting $50 a game every week and you have a bankroll of $1,000, that's a G right there, right? Yes, the local affiliates, I believe, Trevor, will eventually stop broadcasting on Sundays. Yep. It's one of the reasons many years ago, I always wanted to get the dish, or I always wanted to have access to New York channels, because growing up as a kid, if you're outside of Philly 20 to 30 minutes, which I was in South Jersey, you're getting every Eagles game. And back in the day, I would probably get 10 to 11 or 12 Giant games. And then when they were really good, 80s, mid 80s, 90s, you're going to get 13, games. Obviously, you'll get the key matchups against the Eagles, the Sunday night, the Monday night, all that kind of stuff, the playoffs. But when they stink, like I can tell you, even though this past season, we know I did a lot of fishing outside, right, on Sundays because the Giants were horrible. I calculated that the Giants in my market were only on TV 9 times. 9 times. So the other 8, you go to the bar, you go to the platform, another platform to get the games, or whatever. If you have, Fire Stick. point being is, yes, I think they're going to totally wipe out the local affiliates carrying these games. And it sucks. It really does, because you're growing up on these games. You know, there were channels that we got as kids. We would get WGN. We would get the Cubs games. We'd get WOR. We would get the Mets games, WPIX, get the Yankees games. You know, that's all been just disinvolved. I mean, it's just boom. Down here in DC, I get a lot of Eagles games. Only went to Baltimore once. So you're in the DC area or outside of DC near Maryland, you got to get all the Commanders games, do you not? And then you'll get the Eagles games. So you're talking about market, right? We're talking about market. Think about 95. You know, you're going up and down 95. You start, you know, you got New York, then you're coming down, you got Philadelphia, then what are we doing? We're going Delaware, Maryland, DC, Virginia, if that memory serves me correct, right? Carolina, Georgia, then to Florida. So that's good. That's good. I mean, again, eventually it's going to be a la carte and you're going to have to pay for it. That's my point. It's going to be a 20-game NFL season. You're going to pay $24 per game, or you're going to spend $2,000 in an NFL season to get the NFC East. I mean, if you tell me right now I got to spend $3,000 to watch an NFL season, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Nope. I'll go a la carte with my team, and hey, good luck to the rest of these teams. I'll catch the highlights somewhere. I'll fire stick it. I'll use a free stream. But that's where we're going, guys. All right, got to start wrapping it up. Excellent stuff with the comments today. Always appreciate you guys engaging us for well over an hour. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we'll be back in the saddle at 4. I don't know what to think going into game 2. I mentioned tonight, you got game 2 of Minnesota and OKC. So if you're looking to hang your hat somewhere, OKC is laying 7.5 in that game. Thunder look to go up 2-0. And just for odds purposes, the Knicks are still sitting at a 5.5-point favorite tomorrow night at home against the Pacers. Game 2. I'll say it one more time. To me, the series is over. The series is over. Now watch the Knicks go out and win tomorrow. I still think the series is over. I don't cover from that. Hey, don't forget to get social with me. Check out the YouTube channel as well, at Rich Quinones on IG and X, at Rich Q on Q. And you can get me on TikTok, Rich Q on the mic. We'll be back in the saddle on a What the Frig Friday edition. You guys always enjoy it. What the Frig Friday edition of Middays with Q. We'll do that back in the saddle tomorrow. Then we'll be here live on Tri-X 57 again in the studios Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're always going to be firing off right around 3-ish, 3:30, 4-ish. And then, of course, right here on Tuesdays and Thursdays to start, 3:30 to 4:30. We pushed it a little bit today because you had some great engagement. We always appreciate you guys keeping us tuned in and locked in. My man Kyle on the other side, producing the show, keeping us on the air. He knows he will not text me tomorrow night if the Knicks are up by 16. Hey, everyone have a good sports Thursday and enjoy it. You got some baseball tonight. You got some NBA. We will go over game 2 of the Western Conference Finals tomorrow. We'll preview game 2 of the Pacers and the Knicks. I'll give you some baseball plays, a lot more NFL conversation on the potential of a 20-game season and what it might mean for the league going forward. We'll break that down as well. Have a wonderful Sports Thursday. As always, be safe, be sound. I'm Rich Quinones. Hasta luego, my dear.